Hello, everyone. Welcome to the People Led Show by Infido. My name is Pawan Rochwani, and I'm going to be hosting the Southeast Asia version of the show. I know some of you have already seen the interviews and episodes where we have interviewed some of CHROs from India. But in this series, I have the opportunity to interview some of the brightest minds from the Southeast Asia region. And I'm going to try my best to cover the latest trends, ask them questions about how they have been managing their work life balance, the well being of their workforce, and at the same time, are they hopping onto the new trend of AI in HR or not? So I hope you enjoyed this series as well, how much love you have given to the India series. And let's get into it. My first episode is with Marvin, who is the country director of Coronis Healthcare Philippines. It's a multinational healthcare BPO where he has been tremendously involved in all the operations, not just within the HR function, but across. And he has wealth of experience across various industries for more than 2 decades. And I'm so glad that I'm starting this series of Southeast Asia of the People Led Show by Infido with Marvin. And in this episode, we cover a lot of aspects about not just with respect to what they are doing at the org, but also how he gets time to do all the outdoor activities like dragon boat rowing, surfing, mountain climbing, and so many other things. If you enjoy this episode, please feel free to share it with other HR leaders. And if you have any suggestions for us, please feel free to comment on the video or reach out to us on LinkedIn or across any of these platforms, and we'll be happy to take your suggestions. So let's get into this. And this was pre recorded in the month of December. So some of the conversation and context could be relevant to that time period, but I hope you still enjoy it. Superb. Thank you so much, Marvin, for taking out the time to do this conversation with us. I was really, really excited and looking forward to this conversation and this recording with you. I'm so glad that you have been able to do this. So, welcome to the show and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm actually very excited to talk to you as well. All right. Sorry, I think we have to stop.
That's okay, no problem. But yeah, Marvin, I think the first thing, and this is something that I ask all my HR leaders, which is who are you outside of work? Because we want to make sure that everybody who's going to listen to this, watch this, read about this, they get to know Marvin outside of work as well, apart from the country director title that you hold. So, who are you outside of work?
All right. I'm very active in social civic work. Actually, I've been doing that for almost a decade now. So that's my one way of giving back to the community as well as to distress, so to speak. Because the kind of work that we do, there's so much stuff to be done. There's
Yeah.
so many meetings, and so we're looking for avenues where we could actually just be ourselves, do the things that we really love the most. So in that, I've been a very active part of Rotary International in my country, and that has been my source of pride and joy for the last couple of years. I'm also a pet lover. Actually, I have several dogs and cats at home. As you can see, probably you could hear them or doing something on the background.
Wow, wow. I'm also a proud pet parent, so I understand the feeling when your pet is just like moving around here and there while you're trying to work. But thank you so much, Marvin, for answering that, and I'm glad we got started on this note. I wanted to ask you because you have had such diverse work experiences. How is it to be like? I mean, what are some differences when you are a CHRO or when you are an HR leader, let's say within healthcare or within FMCG or within the tech space that you also have worked in the past? So, what have been those key learnings or those key differences, or how have you adapted different industries while
Well,
taking up this role?
yeah, it's really on the difference is mainly be on the demographic of the company. And of course, each company have their own culture. I would say that the BPO demographic is a little bit more fast paced as
Mm,
compared to the other industries that I've been in. But it doesn't mean that the other industries are less when it comes to work demands, because they have their own type of work that they do. So when it comes to, let's say, governance, FMCG is very, very strong with that. I mean, we have to follow everything by the letter. And that is something that is, um, I would say, less as compared to the BPO. So that's probably the main difference. BPO is more fast paced, but FMCG have a little bit of challenge that is specific to that kind of industry, especially when it comes to regulation and dealing with a diverse workforce. Because in the BPO, the workforce would mainly be coming from the Gen Z and the millennials, the ones aging from 20 to 35 years old. But
Yeah.
in other industries, it's really from, let's say, late 20s up to the early 50s. That's a lot of difference.
Yeah. I have a small follow-up question on this. And usually when you are in a fast-paced environment, or like BPO industry, or in fact, I've also observed this myself when we are in the 0 to 1 startup phase. It's like really fast-paced. Have you noticed that, in such an environment, there's a lot of burnout issues for employees, or mental fatigue that happens to them? Is that common to
It's very
see?
common. It's very common. The attrition rate in the BPO industry is very high. I would say probably one of the highest when it comes to the market, not only in the Philippines but also in India as well, because we also have an office in India, which we also maintain. And then the challenge that we are having when it comes to employee retention is
Yeah.
basically the same challenge that our counterparts in India is facing, probably because the demographic, the age is the same, and the type of work is actually the same.
Correct. Yeah. 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 I mean, I've observed this in India as well. Some of my other friends who are in the industry. So thank you for answering that. And this also reminds me of something that I was speaking to one of our other guests, where he mentioned that employees feel engaged when they are connected to the purpose and the vision of the company. Um, how do you think, if you notice that there is the attrition problem is probably the highest, how can you make employees feel connected to the purpose or to the vision of the company? Do you have any strategies about this or methods that you follow?
Totally, I totally agree with that one, because especially the generation now, they wanted to join a company that resonates well with the values that they have. And so whenever we hire for people to join our little community of 800 FTEs in the Philippines, we always give them a kind of orientation that tells what is the company, what do we stand for, what are the values that drives us, in the hope that it will resonate with them, because we would want to start at the right foot, that they will
Yeah.
be able to identify themselves within the company, and that they'll be able to see what they're looking for as they build their career. I have mentioned that the attrition is a problem, but we are managing it in such a way that it's not really one of the biggest problems that we're having, although we know that it's going to be a perennial concern that we're having, but we are doing our best to really connect with our employees, because I'd like to think that each of the company have their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
It's how we're able to connect to our employees that would really make them stay and build their career with us. And it's an ongoing communication, and the way we communicate to each of them is probably different um, from the other. What we intend to do is to really have that kind of connection, and connecting individually takes a lot of work and a lot of effort on everyone's part, because it's not just communication per se, because you could easily do that, have FGDs, have town halls, but I don't think that works. We wanted to have a kind of communication that's really connecting. We wanted to tell them that we are here to listen. We may not be able to solve all of your concerns, but what is important is that we hear them and we are working little by little to actually address each of those concerns. And that, I think, is one of the things that separates us, and one of the things that the workers of today is looking for. Aside from, of course, living up the values, it's really making them feel important and part of the organization.
Yeah, yeah. I think I definitely resonate with you. And sometimes it's also about if the employees feel heard. It's not always about, let's say, the perks, or
Yeah.
let's say the offers that you're giving, or the pay that you're giving to the employees. That's why they are engaged in the company. But it's also about, do they feel valued and do they feel heard in the organization. So I definitely resonate with that. Um, have you seen, and this is coming out of when I was recently in Philippines, at the PMAP event. I was observing a lot of HR leaders asking about upskilling and reskilling kind of
Mhm.
programs or products. um, have you felt that employees are really asking you for upskilling request, or you as an organization, are you um, like asking them to get trained, get upskilled or reskilled? Is that phase happening, especially now because there are AI tools? You constantly use different other products and tools as well, as an employee and as an organization. So is that
Um,
happening?
in our company, we, of course, we always upskill them based on the demands of our clients, right? If there's a new system that we're going to use, then that's going to be an upskilling. If there's a new product that we'll be launching, then there would be an upskilling. We focus also on leadership development, so a lot of skills development trainings that we have. But I agree with the rest of the HR practitioners that it's an ongoing process. We
Mm,
never really stop learning, and we never really stop to train our employees. It's basically the lifeblood of every organization, that there's continued learning, especially that there are new technologies that are happening, AI for one. And it's something that we are embracing, because Coronis Philippines is basically it's a BPO. It's also a tech company, and so we must embrace the kind of technology that comes our way. Anyway, we don't have really a choice about it. AI is there. It's not something that will just stop or pause. It will not wait for us. So might as well take advantage of that, and embrace it fully to our advantage. And I think it's actually good that technology is gearing towards that, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of changes will happen as well. And yes, we are preparing our employees for that. On the technology side as well, we are preparing if there will be some changes in the system that we're using. We don't want to be left behind.
yeah.
And yeah, it's always the same, because we are a tech company. Basically, of course, we must be at the forefront of every change that happens in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. No, makes sense. And I think it's the sooner we adapt to these newer technologies, we will progress faster. And it does have a direct business impact and revenue impact as well. So I've observed a lot of times HR leaders might think that, okay, this is a very high cost for us to upskill or reskill, but it does give you the long term
Yeah.
um, something I've observed, and this is, just probably me reading a lot of your LinkedIn post. But you talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, and uh, how have you tried? What are some measures that you have tried to maintain the diversity within Coronis, or even in your previous uh,
Mhm.
experiences?
All right.
What have you?
In all of the organizations that I've been into, whenever we let's say hire for people, it's always the skill that we are looking at. It's always, if this person can do this or that. It's not about, let's say, what age the person have. It's not about the gender. It's not even about the gender preferences. It's not about the faith that we believed in. And
Hmm.
so it's a we always try to cultivate an open community wherein we base our let's say the people that we're looking into to become part of our family, of our community, based on their identity with I mean identification with our values and their skill.
Yeah.
That is our primary recommendation. Are we able to do the job that we need you for, and are you able to actually resonate well with the company values that we stand for? And these are the two main considerations. So it doesn't really matter whatever your preferences, whatever your religion, your age, you're welcome. And that is one thing that we always cultivate in terms of demographics. Actually, 50-50 is actually the ratio between male, 52 female, and 48% of our population are male. So and we don't, you know, ask them anything about religion or something, but it's really more the skills and the values that you represent.
Wow, wow, that's great to hear, and I'm glad that I'm speaking to an HR leader who embraces diversity and inclusion. And I'm coming to the last section of our conversation, and I really want to, out of curiosity, understand what do you think makes a great HR leader. I think we have talked about making employees feel valued and heard, but if we have to just think about, okay, who is a great HR leader or a great people leader, what are some qualities or traits that you think are absolutely necessity?
All right. The most important trait, it's for an HR leader, it's really more of the empathy. I think that is probably the main consideration. And there also has to have business acumen as well, because
Mm,
I'm thinking that the role of HR is actually to bridge um, the employees and the company. And
mm,
it's something that doesn't stop at any given time. That person has to champion change as well, and be able to take advantage of whatever changes that happens, so that it will benefit both the organization and the people belonging in it, because organization has to have sustainability, so that it could provide for generations to come, and the people within the organization should have at least the necessary jobs, I mean the necessary skills that's necessary for them to do their jobs. And that is actually the role of HR, to see through it. What are the future needs, to be able to see that what are the how do we evolve the skills of our population? How do we evolve the organization to make sure that we are relevant from now until 10 years from now or 20 years from now? So foresight is also a very critical competency for an HR practitioner. And he should, or he or she should be able to be a very good communicator as well, because how do you bridge two parties if you're not able to actually communicate the needs and aspirations of the organization versus the people? So these are the traits that I think that are really necessary.
yeah, and I think all of them are equally important, like being an empathetic leader, having the business acumen, having the right communication skills. All of these things are really like an essential traits for being a great people leader. Thank you so much for answering that. Um, what's your vision for the, let's say, how would the HR department maybe become in the next few years? And maybe let's specifically answer for the BPO industry. What are some things that maybe HRs will have to upskill themselves? I think we touched upon talking about AI and some of these other things, but what do you see in the next few years happening for them?
Okay. Of course, it's always a given that we have to upskill ourselves depending on the technology that's going to come our way.
Yeah,
But we must also look into the human side of doing things. And that is also the most important thing, that the technology will be there and it keeps on changing. But an HR practitioner must always be upskilled when it comes to connecting with our employees. So the soft skills, the leadership skills, I think is probably the more important versus upskilling yourself with the latest technology. It's critical that you do that, but your primary function is to actually take care of your employees, and so you must upskill yourselves in things that will make you relevant in that
Yeah.
particular skill of taking care about the aspirations, about the needs, about the skills of our employees that are needed. Technology will come in secondary to that primary function.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. My last question, Marvin, and I think this is a great note that we will end on, is what is one philosophy that you believe in that probably other people leaders or let's say HR leaders or just CEOs and country directors probably don't believe you? What's something that's your style
Uh,
that
yeah.
you do and others probably might not agree with?
I'm not sure if they don't believe in it, but I always live by a particular motto all my life. It developed over a period of time. First is that live a good life, be kind, and create moments to live for. So, and these are the things that I really looked up to. I mean, kindness has been, a trait that has not been emphasized, but it's actually what the world needs always, right? With all the stress that we're having, with all the ambiguity that are coming our way, with all the challenges, so we must always try to be kind, and that would spell a lot of difference, especially in human resources. Kindness would really be the deal breaker in everything that we do, and I hope that everyone would imbibe that, even in the corporate world.
Wow, I think that's a great message to end on and also to pass on to all the HR leaders from across the globe who are going to listen to this and watch this and read this. Thank you so much, Marvin, for taking out the time. I think I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was very insightful and also very engaging, and I felt like I'm having coffee with a friend. So, thank you so much for being candid and really insightful at the same time.
All right, thank you for having me as well, and looking forward to more conversations in the future.
Super.